Dun, 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 dun. Oh, hello. Welcome to the 20th of January, 2021. Hi, I'm Mike Malloy. Just caught up in the moment. I'm recording this shortly after the inauguration of Joseph Biden as the 46th President of the United States, on the same spot where, 2 weeks ago, a bunch of filthy, scummy anti-Americans staged their little panty raid on the U.S. Capitol, a panty raid that left 5 people dead and exposed these conspiracy theorists for what they are, a bunch of filthy, rotten, useless thugs. Now, having said that, let's move on just a tad. Yeah, I have to admit, I sat there with tears in my throat and lumps in my eyes. Wait a minute, I got that backwards. Lumps in my throat and tears in my eyes at various points during this morning's inaugural proceedings. One of the high points for me was to see Garth Brooks without a hat on. Jesus. I mean, I've been a Garth Brooks fan for an awfully long time, but I never saw him without that big-ass black cowboy hat of his. Well, that's pretty cool. Every speech that was given, every word that was spoken, especially by this 22-year-old poet, Amanda Gorman, who read her poem, Where Can We Find the Light? I was knocked down. I was just blown away. I love the spoken word. When Garrison Keillor used to have the Poets Corner on NPR, I don't know if I don't think he does anymore, but it was a 2-minute or 3-minute little blurb that he would do, and he always included a short poem as selected by Poetry Review magazine, I believe. And I love the way Garrison Keillor would read. Now, I think I love more this 22-year-old young woman, Amanda Gorman, the way she read her poem, Where Can We Find the Light? Oh, my God. But sitting there watching all of it, listening to all of it, it made me feel some, I don't know the word. The word that immediately pops into mind is pride. Proud to be an American now. In that moment, that even when the country is attacked by the most disgusting assortment of scum that this country can produce, we survive, we move on, we treat the vermin like vermin. We put out the rat traps, we put decayed cheese in the lever, and we wait until the hammer snaps and breaks their goddamn necks. And I had a feeling that what I heard this morning amidst the poetry and the music and the speechifying was the hammer on a rat trap slamming down on the necks of these filthy bastards. But what a difference 2 weeks in January makes, huh? And watching it, there were just several occasions. I felt very sorry for Mike Pence. That poor miserable son of a bitch. I don't know why I feel sorry for him. All he did for 4 years was stare at Trump as if he wanted to have sex with Trump. It got to the point where it was hideously embarrassing. I mean, just hideously embarrassing to see that kind of adulation for someone so undeserving of even a second look. But there was Pence for 4 years, just staring at the back or the side of Donald Trump's head. I wish I had some magic power so I could have gotten inside of Pence's head in those moments to see what in the hell are you thinking about? What is going through your mind? Maybe he was reciting Bible verses. Very good chance that's what he was doing. Instead of verses from the Bhagavad Gita, say, or some other holy book, he was reciting from Paul's letters to the Corinthians, maybe. I have no idea. But Pence was such a sad presence on that reviewing stand today, where Biden accepted the presidency of the United States. Everybody else seemed to be there in an anticipatory mood, in a happy mood, in a mood of it's time to move away from the destruction and debris. What did Trump say, that filthy bastard, 4 years ago? It seems like yesterday, doesn't it? About the carnage in America was going to stop. And then he proceeded to spend 4 years creating carnage in this country and wherever the miserable bastard set foot. But there was Pence today with that hangdog look of his. I felt sorry for him. I really did. Not a whole lot. But there was Biden being sworn in the exact spot where the filthy pigs that support Trump staged that deadly riot to stop the orderly transfer of power 2 weeks ago, only 2 weeks ago. So, as the Post or the Times reported, the symbolism was stark and inescapable. Yeah, stark and inescapable. There we had the inaugural scene in D.C., unlike any other that this country has ever gone through. Country still in the throes of an out-of-control pandemic. And in the middle of it, you could see Supreme Court justices greeting former presidents with elbow bumps. I mean, there was Bush, the war criminal, and Trump, the guy that couldn't keep his fly zipped. And I'm sorry, Jesus, I got to get that word out of my mind. Clinton is what I meant. And Obama, the one who every time I see him, I just want to scream, please come back. 3 former presidents and a pathetic hangdog vice president. And I think the presence of these people showed the rest of the world that even though the United States, like any country, can produce venomous, vomitous thugs like the ones who attacked the Capitol, useless son of a bitches that have no purpose in life, we can still prevail as far as our founding documents are concerned. Of course, now let's see if we can finally, or at least continue to move toward the promise of those documents. Because we're goddamn sure not there yet, are we? I don't care that we had a president of color. I don't care that we have a vice president of color. That doesn't mean shit. It's symbolic. It is. It's important. It's symbolic. But the rules on the books and the way people are treated in this country, people of color, the way rights are denied, the way ignorance on the part of white people is just flourishing. I mean, that shit's got to stop. It's got to stop. I wonder if the time has come for it to stop. What do you think? I mean, if you look at the people that Biden wants around him to administer the executive branch of the United States, one would think that the time has arrived, that men and women and whites and people of color and people of non-color and however you want to put it, that we're ready to move the country to the next step. Maybe we needed a crash and burn expert like this filthy pig Donald Trump. And fuck him. The one thing I just wish somebody would beat the shit out of him in some alley in Palm Beach and just say, there, motherfucker, that's what you deserve. Now, see, I can say that now because he's no longer president. 4 years of this stuff we had to put up with. but reminders of the attack by his psychotic, fucked up followers back on January 6th. Reminders were everywhere. Times reports that, here we have Eugene Goodman, the Capitol police officer credited with steering rioters away from the Senate floor, was introduced to a somber standing ovation from the socially distanced crowd after he accompanied Kamala Harris onto the inaugural stage. Yeah. Then we have a guy here, Brandon Niro. He's 30 years old. He drove from his home in Nazareth, PA, last night, slept in his car so he could witness a transfer of power. He drove to Andrews Air Force Base to watch Trump leave Washington, and then he headed to the church where Biden attended Mass this morning. Nero said, adding that the first time he had been to Washington for an inauguration was 1997 for Bill Clinton. He said, quote, "I am obsessed with politics," end quote. He said he was also in Washington on the day of the Capitol assault 2 weeks ago. And he said he saw people in the crowd being aggressive toward the cops. He said, "I got nervous. The instigators were riling up the rest of the crowd." And this guy added that the country is turned into a place that he no longer recognizes. He said, quote, "It's turning into something ugly and divisive. The hypocrisy is off the chain," end quote. Yeah, up to this point, Mr. Nero or Niro, whatever your name is, you're absolutely right. Thanks to the pig. Thanks to the pus-filled boil that was Donald Trump that burst out of the skin of this democracy and infected everything. Yeah, I know. I've said a million times, Trump didn't create this insanity. We white people have been creating this for 375 years. And it's goddamn time we stopped. I mean, what do white folk have to do to get it through our heads that the shit has got to stop, that we have got to know our place? We are part of the United States of America. We cannot be, and we shouldn't even want to be, the totally, completely, uniquely dominant force in this country. It's got to be power sharing. And I don't even like that term. I mean, what's the difference between one of your black brothers or sisters and one of your white brothers or sisters? Seriously. There are differences, but it's not what you think. There may be a difference in the fact that your white brother or sister had a decent education, whereas your black brother or sister had to settle for the shit. It might be that your white brother or sister has a good job, while your black brother or sister had to settle for the shit. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And I just truly believe, and I include myself in this mass of European Americans, we had better fucking get it right this time. So maybe with the Biden-Kamala Harris administration, which includes this incredibly diverse group that is going to try to move us to a point where we can understand the words of Amazing Grace. We can understand the words of the rabbi, Jesus of Nazareth, or Gandhi, or Dr. King. We can understand what those words mean. Not what they represent, but what they mean, what they are, what they're saying, and then try to live it? What do you think? Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcast. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.